First, our diplomatic editor, Mark Urban, is here. I mean, we first heard from Donald Trump, you know, the big kind of, we've got nice, shiny new missiles, but what's been happening since then?
Well, as we've heard this evening, and in fact on successive evenings this week, he's not rushing into it. And of course, he's created a situation where there's an expectation of action. I think a lot of viewers would think, well, quite wise if you walk away. But of course, if you walk away, Russia will say this is because of what we said about being ready to respond, to shoot down American missiles and maybe even target the aircraft or other platforms that launch them. It will be presented by the Russians as a major victory. And make no mistake, the US military approaches this with trepidation. They've spent 20 years bombing either poor people in pickup trucks or broken states like Libya and Iraq. They're now up against a first world air defense system if they choose to fly over Syria. And that's causing them to think long and hard, to give cautious advice, and somehow to try and find a way in which they would do some sort of damage, but maybe tell the Russians where they were going to strike and that kind of thing, and not engage with the Russians. And that's a very narrow path.
All options are on the table and a final decision hasn't been made, but we'll keep you posted once it is.
The White House is trying to keep everyone guessing.
We'll see what happens, folks. We'll see what happens.
But in truth, its options and their possible consequences will have to be carefully considered.
Russia has been very threatening in stating that it would shoot down missiles, possibly even planes, used by the United States and its allies in any potential strike. Syria has also moved some of its aircraft to military bases, so that adds a layer of complexity because we would be striking now Russians and Syrians together, potentially.
Strategists often weigh military power in terms of capability and intent. And right now, limited coalition capability defines its options. Option A, just cruise missiles, could happen now, but isn't really on, because that's what America did last year, and it didn't deter Assad. Option B, add some stealth aircraft and other manned aircraft to the cruise missiles, but still deliver attacks from a distance in order to avoid Russian and Syrian defences. America and its allies could take this option also tonight. Option C involves suppressing Syrian air defences so there can be a sustained campaign against Syrian facilities. Well, the US and its allies don't yet have the number of planes, ships and missiles to do this. It could still take many days and carries risks.
Then we come back to the question, what was the purpose of the strike? Well, the purpose of the strike was to write down the Syrian ability to use chemical weapons against their own population. You're not going to do that in one night. So we must expect the US-led coalition will come back again. And when they come back again, they'll want to reduce the chances of their missiles being struck. So the next iteration might mean that more capability is used against the Russian-provided air defense systems, and that, of course, is an escalation in itself.
But if America has considerable capability, what about its intent? What does President Trump, leading a coalition, want to achieve by these strikes? And does he have the political will to see it through, even if things go wrong?
I think the bigger question is, what is the political plan for the aftermath? Donald Trump, as president about a year ago, did move forward with missile strikes. But in the aftermath of that, nothing happened. And the signal that Assad took away was that you can hunker down and weather the storm, maybe a couple more missiles, but there won't be much more after that.
Of course, Russia has a key role in this too, and considerable military capability in Syria. It's deployed batteries of long-range S-400 air defense missiles to Tartus and Himimim. Add to that short-range systems at several more air bases and ship-based missiles some Russian vessels have put to sea recently, and Russia could create an air defense dome or bubble capable of intercepting missiles and manned aircraft alike.
The Russians have put in place in and around Syria some of the very best air defense capability that is in service in the world today. From a technical perspective, we should be in no doubt that this capability is a significant risk to Western aircraft, and to overcome it would require a major military effort.
The question, though, for the Kremlin is also about intent. Looking away and watching Assad's air force get pounded is hardly good for their regional image. If they activate their air defence system, it could have a dramatic effect, blunting the coalition's missile blitz. But if Russia tries that and fails, the effect will be the opposite. So big decisions for Russia also.